Ask AJ. So I've been a proponent of the idea that organizations of any size should have a formal data strategy. In your experience, how often do you run into organizations that appear to have a formal data strategy? And what are your thoughts on whether or not a strategy is effective in trying to take advantage of all this information that you have?
So you asked a very loaded question with a couple of loaded words. One of them is appeared, clearly.
Yeah.
The other one is who think they have. And so I think everybody at the end of the day feels like they're looking at the information, in some way correctly in a beneficial way.
Yeah.
But that gets back to the whole use case. And what we find is I don't know if you ever read The Signal and the Noise. I think it's Nate Silver. It's an excellent book about how do you take the noise of data and find the signal inside of it. That's what people don't really have a strategy for. Everybody, has a strategy to collect noise.
Yeah.
A lot of ones and zeros and things like that. And for example, with Insights, our one team platform collects what's called telemetry data, which is basically everything that's going on in the call, every action, every window that opens, things like that. That is a messy data set.
Yeah.
And it's got a lot of noise inside it. The same way if you looked at HTML code or something, there's there's 50 characters to create the color blue in a box, as opposed to, but we work with people to help understand what's the signal? How do you find it inside the noise? And then how do you develop a strategy, to really take that data and make it more useful? Because everybody's got some kind of a strategy, but it may be that the strategy is based on getting to an endpoint and they're not really getting there. They're getting partially there, let's call it.
Yeah. My experience has been there are a lot of folks who have a data storage strategy, right? They build a data lake and all of a sudden they think they have a data program.
And by the way, I love that term because depending on the room you're in, it's a data lake, a data river, a data cube, a data brick, a data something. It's a mountain of data. It's right.
Yeah. So, obviously there are times when we need data that perhaps isn't readily available, or how easy is it in the process of the work that we do as we look at sets of data? Do we ever make discoveries of data elements that maybe the client didn't even realize that they had access to? We used to call it dark data, right? We had stuff that was out there. We just didn't know it was there. And somehow we stumbled upon it at some point. But do we run into that?
Interesting question. Yeah. Now, what we find is, I can't tell you how many times we've done a project where we identify data points and potential opportunities, and our clients will basically say, we were aware of it, but we couldn't quantify it. And then when you see, we thought that 50% of the people were going on hold, but we knew some people were just saying they were going on hold and they weren't. And then they realize the human observations allow you to kind of figure out what's actually going on. That's the critical part to understanding that what did you think you had versus what you actually got. And those are the aha moments that are very fulfilling when we talk to clients. Because it's not that we're saying you're doing something wrong. We're arming them with information now to make business decisions about things they were aware existed, but couldn't really quantify it.
Yeah. So I'm gonna ask you to I'm gonna give you a promotion for a brief minute.
Thank you. I need that.
So you're brought in as the newly minted, first in the position, Chief Data Officer of an organization. Again, Chief Data Officer is another one of those positions that has really exploded in the last 5 to 10 years. It's going to continue to explode and to grow. So you're brought in as the newly minted, first in the position, Chief Data Officer for an organization that has had no formal program around data collection, data identification, data storage whatsoever. So given that scenario, what are the first three things that you do in that role?
Well, first I'd hire a bunch of smart people to take advantage of what I don't know about. I actually look at it, and I don't even know if I've talked to you about this. I had a marketing consulting company for about 5 years, and a lot of my clients were $10 to $20 million clients who had no formal marketing department.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of the way I look at it when we go to answer your question. You go in and you kind of have to do an assessment of what's available, because in your head, you have a framework of what it should look like. But you got to have an assessment of what's available, and you got to have an assessment of the capabilities of the people that you have working for you. And then you kind of make, after you go do all the research, you figure out, what do I have that I can take advantage of? What do I need to augment maybe through a third party? And then what positions do I need to hire, critically in order to solve some problems? Because in the end, I should have skipped to the beginning. I sit down and I ask them what the strategy is. What do they want to communicate? And so that's kind of, if I'm the chief data officer, I'm like, what do the business owners want to get accomplished? And then go in, assess everything, and then kind of assign a value to what's available and what do you need to get, build, grow, buy, whatever it is.
Yeah, you're probably talking about firms very similar to what you were doing in your marketing consultancy, right? You're
Right.
talking about that kind of small to mid-range level organization that might not have formal marketing, probably doesn't have a lot of formal approaches to some of these.
Exactly.
Some of these growing and continuing to be more and more critical business functions, like a data function, just kind of dipping their toe in and trying to figure out how to take what they have and get from where they are to where they want to be.